Hi guys, welcome to the second part of the video, oil and gas project finance model uh, walkthrough. So in the first part of the session, we're able to take a look at the project timing assumptions about the project timing, uh, macroeconomic assumptions, including cost incremental factor, pricing incremental factor, and also we discussed the applicable tax uh, applicable to this kind of projects, including the fiscal policy, the PRA, as applicable in my current location, which is in Nigeria. So now to the second part of the session, we just want to take a look at the operations assumption. So remember, we are still in the inputs section of the model build. All right, so here we have different conversion that might be applicable in case we need any of these. So we just put them all in here. Now, straight to the first thing that, which is the main driver when it comes to you building typical oil and gas, is the production. Production, all right. And when we are saying production, definitely we are talking about the reserves because it's what you have that you definitely need to be able to extract and sell to make money. So yeah, we have different types of reserves. You might want to learn more about that on your own. But to this, in this regarding this model, and most times we usually consider the 2P reserves, even when we are doing the valuation of typical oil well and the typical projects, right? So 2P reserves has been considered in this model, and here now because there are different type of reserve, then the level of uncertainty also comes into play. So as such, we've also um, model out different scenario. So we have base case, um, which is the production expected production given to us by the management, and then we also have the best case, everything being equal. You might get luck to be able to get from other reserve. Then we have the worst case due to non-expected, unforeseen circumstances. So here, best case is saying addition of 10% from what management has given us. Then worst case is minus 20% from what management has given us. Now, because we have available reserves, right? So which means over the period you need to let us know what the production would look like, right? The extract, and here we have it. We've been given this by from the management. Now most times, yes, you can build a model where you need to, so you can see the cumulative here, where you need to use up your total reserves, and there are cases where in fact you still have available reserves beyond your forecast period. But based on what we have here, if you look at the reserve curve, everything here is summing up to 100, so 10%. So nothing in year one, they start in year two, and it's just flow in like that over the period. Okay, so here, so that's for the crude oil production. They also have the same thing for condensate, and we've also modeled it the same way. So whenever you are building your model, it's always good you maintain the same structure across. So condensate production, the same thing, building the scenario, look at the available reserved, and look at what the reserve usage would be over the forecast period. Then we also have the same thing for the gas production, available uh, reserves, right, to see, then the scenario and how they are going to make use of that reserve. So I guess for this total oil, okay, so they expect to use up everything as well. So as I said, there are scenarios where your forecast, the business will definitely still have more reserve beyond your forecast period. So here, that's for the production. So the major thing when it comes to calculating the revenue for a typical oil and gas is what's the production, right? What's driving that production, then your pricing. So here for the oil and gas price, now pricing is so important because number one, most times you don't control the pricing of the products, all right, and that's where it gets dicey, and where investors always want to be sure they also play their own game, they play safely, especially when it comes to you getting a debt funding. Now here now we have base case. We've created base case scenario, best case, worst case. Now management case, there are cases where there are scenario where you have the management saying, okay, you know what, this is the price we're going to use. Then you now have what we call contract agreed price. So if I'm giving you the funds today, right, and you are preparing a cash flow uh, that will show how you are going to meet up those financial obligations, we need to be able to agree on what the price would be now. So there are cases where investors will tell you that based on the outlook and what might likely happen, right, you the, the oil price might drop significantly, right? How do we get to maintain our own standard? And that's where our concept of hedging also comes into play. So you build a full mega oil and gas, definitely you must see hedging regarding production on those prices, so that in case of incasity, it's always easy for them. So you see all those future swap options and hedging concept that comes into play. So most times they'll tell you, you know what, yeah, this is the current prevailing price, but investors will tell you that, or the financials will tell you that, hey, no, that this is the price that we are more comfortable with, and you should build your model based on that. So you can see you have a switch button to just select any of the scenario. Click on one of the scenario and see what the impact would look like in your cash flow. So crude oil price, condensate oil price, right? So the prices are always different. Then you now have your gas price as well. So you see, as I said, when you are building your model, make sure you maintain that same structure across. So the same scenario options, right, for each of these. Now, to the part of the cost. So when we're saying operations, just know operation is basically how you generate money, right, and the cost that you need to bear in keep in keep generating that revenue. So now for the oil and gas, the crude oil variable cost, we've considered the variable cost per barrel. Now there are scenarios where uh, your variable cost might not be uh, per measure of the oil output, right? There are cases where it will just be like absolute value. But most times, I know most times based on the best practice, it's always your variable cost because it's changing with your level of output. So most times it's always based on your measurement. So if you are using BBL or based on the measurement you are using. So you can see each scenario as well. Then for our condensate, so the same thing, as I said, maintaining the same structure. For our gas also, we have those variable costs listed. Now for the fixed cost, fixed cost, okay, I think so. For the fixed cost, we actually make use of those two options where we have the fixed amount. So maybe, oh, this is the fixed amount we hope we'll be spending annual basis over the forecast period. So you have that. So you can see USD per annum. So this is based on management. Then we now have the second option, which is fixed cost per barrel as well. So there are cases where, yes, you need to consider the fixed cost per barrel. All right, then maybe management they might have expected percent, which is outside the inflation factor. So, oh, maybe we hope everything we keep a 2% increase annually or 5% increase annually. So you can is applicable to both fixed cost per barrel, or where you are using fixed actual amount cost as well, and that's what we've also built into this model. Now, for the net working capital, because this is also one key important driver when it comes to you building your model. Now, because it's a typical special project vehicle, right, SPV, most times you sign an agreement before you get started. So as such, there's always agreement terms based on inflow of cash. So the off takers, right? And they're saying, you know what, yeah, you give us this production. By the time you start your production, you supply it to us. We buy it from you, but based on our terms and based on our company cash cycle management policy and the story things, so we pay you in so number of days. So as such, you need to be able to incorporate that into your model. So so for example, now inventory days, we are saying, hey, if we do have our product available, how long will it take us to get it out from our chef to the off takers, right? By the time we get it to them, how long will it take them to pay us, right? If there are any expenses that we need to pay, which is the prepayments, was like the months ahead. So based on accounting, you prepare for your rent, right? You need to account it on a monthly basis. So payables, so anybody that we owe money, how long will it take us to pay them? Then your other accruals and liability. Now, we've stated it in, so we also created different scenario around that, right? Because this working capital is very, very key driver, especially when it comes to you valuing the project, valuing the assets. So we've created different scenario. So there are cases where you have management case, there are cases where you need to just, if you have access to reliable data source, right, you can get what is obtainable in the industry for related projects, right? So you can see we have the comparable, then we have the one for the management. Now, in regards to that, we now need to convert those days into what is obtainable in terms of months, right? So so this is considering like a mid month adjustment. So 15 days is still recognized as a month. So 30 days a month, 30 days a month. Then you can see where it goes beyond 30 days, then it becomes a 2 months calculations. Right. So and here you also have, we've made provision for a percent that will be received. So I can say, oh, you know what, inventory is after 15 days, but because of the mid-period adjustments, maybe the 50% will go out this month, then the other 50% will go out next month. So receivables, oh, so if I'm saying you're going to pay me in the next 1 month, you might decide not to pay the whole 100%. Maybe what might be receivables, what might come in terms of cash might just be 80% of it. Then it transfers to the other month, making it 120. So things like that also need to be considered, because it's to definitely drive our net working capital. So for the operations, so we've considered those three. So production, right? The pricing. So production, the pricing, and also the applicable net working capital. So in the next video, we'll take a look at the capex assumptions, right?